Hey, what's up, guys? Purpose Dream Live Sports, and I'm back here for some more NBA news. So, this particular video is going to be about the Houston Rockets. My next video is going to be about more NBA rumors, trades, and things of that nature that have gone down. Because yesterday I did miss some trades that actually happened that I forgot to tell you guys about. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the Rockets. Now, they are currently shopping Clint Capella, who's their center, who's actually a very good player in this league. They're shopping PJ Tucker, who's a very versatile player in this league, especially for them. And then they're also shopping Eric Gordon. So my problem with this is that, to me, this next year for Houston could really be a year they can win the championship legitimately, because as competitive as the league is going to be, without Golden State as the team that can beat them, that has beaten them the last 4 times in the last 5 years, to me, this squad, if they remain healthy, could win a championship. And I say that because the chemistry is there. Everybody knows how to play with each other. Everybody knows the system. They really know what to expect from each other. So to kind of blow it up just because you want to get a Jimmy Butler, who is a good player in this league, a great player, as a matter of fact, it's the reason why I say this whole superstar thing, building a super team, is sometimes overrated, because what you cost yourself ultimately, what I say yesterday time and time again, is depth. Once they make this trade for Jimmy Butler, if they actually do it at all, you're losing all the depth that you have. They're going to have to trade, to me, PJ Tucker. They're going to have to trade Eric Gordon. You're going to have to trade a Clint Capella, because you have to get all that cap space moved. And then what do you have? You don't have lots of money left over. So while you would have a great, combination in Chris Paul, James Harden, and Jimmy Butler, well, you don't really have a front line. That's the one thing. In the NBA, you need, to me, if you have 3 superstars, you can have at least, 2 players off the bench, 2 other stars who are pretty solid, maybe 2 players off the bench. But then it's what I liked about what Toronto did was that this team was kind of built over the years, and then you bring in a Kawhi Leonard, and then you, in a trade, and Danny Green, who are great players, especially Kawhi Leonard. But then at the trade deadline, you acquire Marc Gasol, which was, to me, the ultimate piece to really put them all the way together. You did that, and that you won a championship like that, but you had so much depth to go beyond that. In the NBA, as great as it is to have a super team, depth is really going to be what breaks you in the playoffs. And what a lot of people say, especially analysts and older players, is that retired players especially always want to say that rotations are shortened and that you're usually playing 7-8 guys. Well, Toronto mostly played 8 or 9 guys, which, 7 or 8, that's kind of the same thing, but it's when you have 9 guys per se, it's different guys off the bench can come on and make an impact every night. That's why depth is so important, because you don't know what to expect from a bench for an opposing player. Now, a lot of times on the road, the bench isn't going to play very well, but at home, a bench is always comfortable. They know what to expect, and even sometimes the bench can be the game-changing factor on the road. So, some say Golden State could have won if healthy, of course, but to me, it still would have been a 7-game series, because Toronto is so good in their starting lineup, but their depth is so great as well. Golden State's depth has been the problem this whole entire season, which is why they've lost a lot of games, is because when their starters come out and you have to ultimately at certain points rest your starters, your bench has to be able to sustain leads and be able to score as well. They didn't have enough experience in that arena to really put that bench on the floor and be comfortable with that. Houston, to me, they had really good pieces that I think they don't have enough cap space that they can really bring these guys back, unless everybody's like, we should run it back, sign the minimum, and see what we can do this year. If everybody does that for Houston, they could win a championship, potentially. But to me, it's all about depth. You should not really want to strip your roster down just to acquire one player. And if you're thinking about doing that, then you're kind of in a linear mindset that's, to me, is kind of not smart. You got to think long term, which is why I say a lot of times having 2 superstars and a lot of good players around them is probably the best plan, because going 9 deep is better than going 7 or 6 deep. Like Golden State constantly had to go 6 or 7 deep, because injuries, guys weren't performing well. Steve Kerr, everybody criticizes Steve Kerr for playing their stars a lot. Well, Steve Kerr couldn't really trust the bench. Mike D'Antoni, to me, he should have trusted his bench more, because you had, to me, 8 guys you could have played in that Golden State series, and you only played really 6 or 7. So that rotation was way too shortened. I'm telling you guys, like, the NBA, it's a star-driven league, of course. It's a make-or-miss league, yes. Depth is a one thing that, to me, is not talked about enough. And Toronto showed that if you're a team that has depth around great players, you can win a championship. Going 8 or 9 deep, it's a championship-winning team. So, before I close with this video, I'm just going to say this again. You may want to trade P.J. Tucker. You may want to trade Clint Capella. You may want to trade Eric Gordon. What do those guys give you? Defensive versatility, guys who can play on the perimeter, and Eric Gordon and P.J. Tucker, and 2 guys in P.J. Tucker and Clint Capella who are great inside defenders. So that versatility is something that you're going to lack if you trade him. Eric Gordon can create a shot off the dribble. He can get to the lane. He can make free throws. He's a good 3-point shooter, as streaky as he is. Clint Capella and P.J. Tucker are guys who don't need the ball to be successful on offense, because they can provide you great possessions on the defensive end. So what I'm saying is that as great as Jimmy Butler is, to strip your roster down and clear cap space, for one player, it's very, to me, it's illogical, and you got to really think about it. Do you want 3 superstars, or do you want 2 good players in Chris Paul and James Harden, who have a slew of guys around them that if you trust them more and you get them more opportunities, they can potentially propel you to a championship? That, to me, is better than bringing in a Jimmy Butler. Then you got to survey and remake the whole roster. This has really been my problem with the Lakers, is that what do you have now? You got LeBron, you got Kyle Kuzma, and Anthony Davis. It's a great trade. You knew that you needed to make this trade, but what did you lose? You lost Lonzo Ball. To me, that's a huge piece. You lost Brandon Ingram. Not, to me, a huge piece, but that's depth. And then you lose Josh Hart, a guy who didn't play as much, but that's depth. So if you see where I'm saying, is that depth, to me, is big in the NBA. It's something that you need if you're going to compete for championships. Golden State, for 4 seasons, had great depth. I like their veterans last year. All the guys were on minimum contracts, but they had a veteran presence, guys who can come in and score. You had David West, Sean Livingston. You had JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee actually signed the minimum in LA, so I don't know why Golden State didn't bring him back, but it is what it is. So you had JaVale McGee, you had David West, you had Sean Livingston. I feel like there's a couple guys I'm forgetting. You had Andre Iguodala. So, of course, you had those 4. You also had Nick Young. You see what I'm getting at? You had your starters. You had Steph. You had Clay. You had KD. You had Draymond. You also had Zaza Pachulia. It's those integral pieces that they had that made them go 8 or 9 deep, which is why at different points they could trust different people to come in. Golden State, to me, sorely missed that this year, which is why the injuries took a huge impact on their championship season, which, to me, they would have won the championship had Clay not gotten hurt. But injuries and depth, that's the thing that's going to drive you. So I think that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to close it out right now. I want to thank you guys for listening. This is my take on what the Rockets are kind of missing in this whole equation with the Jimmy Butler situation as well. But I'll see you guys in my next video when I talk about all the trades, the rumors that have happened. I will see you guys soon.